Working on the 99 Honda Accord, going to be replacing the front and rear brakes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start out on the passenger front here. And if you look underneath here, you got that little jack point there. So I'm going to go ahead and get my jack, and then we'll get a jack stand under there as well. Next, I'm going to go ahead and grab a jack stand. I'm going to go right underneath the frame here. Grab a 19mm. Let's go ahead and take off our lug nuts, wheel and tire here. Okay, so I'm going to be replacing the pads and the rotors. So we need to go ahead and remove this caliper here first. So come on the back side of the caliper here, and you're going to have two 14mm bolts we need to remove. So go ahead and remove those. So that looks like. And now you should be able to pull this caliper out of here, just like that. And then you don't want to let this sit here and dangle from the brake line. So I got these hooks I got off Amazon. I'm going to give these a shot. I'll put a link in the description for them. But you can go up around like the coil spring here, and then just bring your caliper up here, and you can just kind of hang it like that. Comes in pretty handy. Now let's go ahead and remove our pads. You can see these aren't that bad of shape. The reason I'm replacing them is because these rotors are warped, and every time you hit the brake pedal, the whole wheel shakes and everything. So these rotors are definitely warped. So you can just kind of pull these out of here like that. Same with that side. Next, we need to remove this caliper bracket here. So you got two 17mm bolts here on the back side. So let's go ahead and pull those off. And then what you can do is just kind of slide this off, just like that. Next, we need to remove the rotor, and you got two Phillips screws holding that in. So go ahead and try and pull those out. Sometimes these can be hard to get out, so you may need to use an impact screwdriver, but I'm just going to try my impact for right now. And you can see those actually came out pretty easy. And then you should be able to remove your rotor. Pull that off. Okay, so before we go ahead and put on our new rotor, I'm going to go ahead and clean up around the hub here. You can see there's quite a bit of rust. I'm going to use my die grinder with a wire wheel, or you can use a wire brush. That works as well. Okay, so really quick here, I'll show you what I'll be installing. So I just went with the powerstop Evolutions. Got the powerstop rotors, and then of course the pads here. I'll put a link in the description for these. So your front pads are going to be 17-503. Rear pads 17537. And then your front rotors JBR 709. And then your rear rotors here JBR 910. So check out the description. I'll put a link into these. So let's go ahead and install the front rotor here. And then as you can see, I got this all cleaned up along here. You just want to make sure you get all that rust and everything off of there. That way the rotor sits on there evenly. So grab your new rotor, and most likely it's going to have a oil coating on it to keep it from rusting. So what I do, I just stick it on backwards there, take you some brake clean, and go ahead and spray down this side. Get it nice and clean. And then what you can do is go ahead and flip it over. And then you want to make sure you get your screw holes lined up here. So just like that. And then let me grab a screwdriver. Let's go ahead and screw in those screws for the rotor. I like to just use a hand screwdriver to tighten these. That way you don't get them too tight with the impact. Get your other one on here. And you can see they got two, there's actually four holes on here, but you want the ones that has to where the screw sits inside it, so it's a little bit bigger. Get those tight. Now let's go ahead and spray this side. You can see that oil on there. Next, go ahead and grab your caliper bracket here, and you can go ahead and pull out these little clips. They just pop out of there, just like that. And then you can also remove your slide pins here. So we'll clean those up and re-lube them. Next, I'm going to take my die grinder and use my wire wheel here. I'm just going to clean up where those clips go. You can use your wire brush or whatever you got. Next, go ahead and grab your rag here. Let's go ahead and wipe off this old grease off these slide pins here. And if you got any pitting or rusting on these, you can go ahead and use your wire wheel on those as well, or your wire brush. Just get all that old grease off there. And actually, let me go ahead and see if I can clean these up a little bit here. Okay, so I got those cleaned up a little bit better than what they were. And then if you guys want to, you can always pull these boots out of here, and you can stick a rag down in there and clean out some of that old grease, or a pipe cleaner or something works as well. But these aren't too bad, so go ahead and stick this back in there. And then open up your pads here. You can see it comes with some new grease, and then you got your clips, and then of course the pads. So let me go ahead and open this. We'll go ahead and squeeze some out of here. And we'll go ahead and just wipe that on your caliper pins here. Get those lubed up. And you kind of want to use this stuff sparingly because they only give you this little packet here. And you need to be able to do both sides with this. So get a little more here for the other one. Same thing, just spread that around here. Just like that. And then go ahead and insert these back into the caliper bracket here. And then just make sure that boot clicks over that little line there. So just like that. Make sure those move freely. That looks good. Next, get you a little more grease here. What I like to do is just put a little bit here on the caliper bracket, just where those clips are going to go. Don't really need much for this. Do the other side here. So it's kind of like that. Then go ahead and grab your clips. Let's get these set on here. So those will just kind of, you can see they just set down in there. So get those set in there like that. Flip it over. Do the other side here. You may have to just press down on this center area here just to kind of lock them in there. Just like that. Next, grab your caliper bracket here, and let's go ahead and get that back on. Slide that on there. Grab your two 17mm bolts. Get those started. Go ahead and get those snug, and then we'll torque them. And then grab your torque wrench, and you're going to torque those to 80 foot-pounds. Next, go ahead and grab your pads. And if you look at the little diagram they give you on this grease here, you can see they say to lubricate the back side of the pads, and then also this part of the pad here where it slides on these clips here. So go ahead and get you a little grease here. Just put on just a little bit on here. And make sure you don't get any on the pad itself. Just put a little on here. Flip it over. Do this side as well. Get a little more here. Just put a little more on there. That way it slides nice and easy. And then what you can do is I'm going to put some on the back here, just a thin layer. Back of the pad. Just kind of wipe that down with it. Just like that. And then if you take a look at your two pads here, you'll see this one has the squealer on it. So once it gets down to this little metal area here, it'll start squealing, letting you know your brakes are almost done. I like to put this one on the back side. So the one we just greased, let's go ahead and stick this in the clips here. So try to get that kind of lined up, and it just slides in there. You may have to push up on this clip here if it's not going in. Just try not to touch the pad portion of it. Sometimes these can be tricky going in here. So just kind of like that. And push it all the way in. And I'll go ahead and grease this one really quick here. Okay, so you can see I got this one all greased up as well. So let's go ahead and stick this one on here. Just like that, and then just kind of squeeze them together. Next, go ahead and grab your caliper here. And then what you can do is you can take out this clip if you want here. So that just pulls out like that. And let me just set this up here for right now. So next we need to compress the piston back into the caliper there. So I like to just use the old brake pad here. And then I use this tool here. I'll put a link in the description for it. Makes it nice and easy. Or you can use like a C-clamp. So what you do is just start screwing this in. And that'll slowly compress that piston back into the caliper there. So you want to just go till that stops and then back it off. Pull out your old pad. Let's get our new clip. And then get your new clip here that came with your pads. And you can go ahead and set this in here. You gotta kind of press it in there. And then kind of even it out like that. Then you go ahead and get your caliper put back on here. Get that slid over your pads. And then you may need to just push in on these slide pins. Grab your two bolts here. Get them started. And then go ahead and get those snug, and we'll torque them here at the end. And you can see that this wants to turn on me. So you can just take a pair of pliers, or you can use a wrench as well. But a wrench is pretty fat for this, so I like to just use these vice grips. Fits around there nice and easy. You can just hold that, keep that from spinning. Grab your torque wrench and you're going to torque those to 37 foot-pounds. And then I like to just spray it down one more time with everything on there. Grab your tire and wheel. Let's go ahead and put that back on. Grab your jack and let's go ahead and lower the front end here. Then go ahead and torque your lug nuts to 80 foot-pounds. All right, so that's all there is to the front one. So now let's go ahead and move on to the rear here really quick. So for the rear, same thing. Got your jack point right there. Let's go ahead and jack that up. And then I'm going to go ahead and just place the jack stand right here. And then same thing, go ahead and remove your wheel and tire with your 19mm. Next, grab a 12mm. Let's go ahead and remove these two bolts holding the caliper on there. You can see that one wants to turn on me, so let me grab my pliers. And then go ahead and pull your caliper off here. This one you can just kind of set right there for right now. Shouldn't go anywhere. And then also make sure your parking brake's off before you do that as well. And then you can go ahead and pull out your pads here, if you can. There's that one. And this one's stuck in there for some reason. There's that one. And then just like the front, let's go ahead and remove this caliper bracket here. So you got two 14mm bolts. So go ahead and pull those off. And then you go ahead and slide that out. And then just like the fronts, we're gonna have two Phillips screws we need to remove to get the rotor off. Go ahead and pull that off. And then just like the fronts, go ahead and put your rotor on backwards. We'll go ahead and spray it. Get all that oil off. And flip it around. Get your screw holes lined up here. Go ahead and tighten those. And spray this side down. And then of course, same thing with the caliper bracket here for the rear. Pull off these clips. And then you can pull out your slide pins here. You can see that one didn't really have much grease on it. So let me go ahead and clean these up with my wire wheel, and then also I'll clean up the rust on this caliper bracket as well. All right, so as you can see, got that all cleaned up, some of that rust off, and then also the slide pins here. So then grab your clips that came in your rear pads here. They give you another thing of grease. So go ahead and open this up. And then again, I'm just going to use a little bit here. Just put right here where we're going to put those clips. Don't need much at all. Grab your two clips here. These are going to go in there just like this. Let's get those kind of pushed in there. Same with this side here. Just like that. All right, guys, so I got to looking, and they give you different styles here. So you can see this one's a little bit different than the first one I put in. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this one off. And let's put this style on. Seems like this one grips on there a little better. Just kind of like that. You can see how it latches in there. And then go ahead and grab your slide pins here. Let's go ahead and grease those up. Stick that one in. And again, just make sure those slide in and out of there nice and easy. Don't want any binding. Those feel good. Then go ahead and grab your caliper bracket. Go ahead and get that in place. Grab your two bolts here. And let's get those snug, and then we'll torque them. And then grab your torque wrench and you're going to torque those to 41 foot-pounds. Just like that. And I'll do the same thing with my pads. I'll go ahead and put some of the grease on the back here and then also on the ends. So there's that one. And then I'll go ahead and slide this in here. Just like that. Go ahead and do the same to this one here. And then again, putting the squealer on the back side here. And get that one in place. Just like that. All right, guys, so now we need to compress the piston back into the caliper. And Honda has a special tool you need to use. So you can pick this up, just rent it at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts. It's the EverTough 67090. And I'll go ahead and show you what you need. So what you want to do is you grab this here, and then it's going to be this letter G is the one we're going to need, the adapter. And this is just kind of magnetized. So you set that on there like that. And then what we'll do is we'll screw in the caliper or the piston into the caliper. Like I said, these Hondas use it. I think some of the Fords use them as well. So let me go ahead and show you how to do that. So take your caliper here, and I like to just take some compressed air really quick and blow right around that boot and the piston here. Just kind of like that. And then go ahead and take your tool here. And you can see you got these two dots here, so you just want to get those either way on there. And we're going to go clockwise. and you're just gonna turn this, and that's gonna slowly suck that piston back into the caliper here. So just go ahead and start twisting it. So just go till it stops, about right there. So now let's see if we can get these this clip out of here with our piston pressed in. So you may need to use a pair of pliers and just bend this a little bit, because these are kind of a pain to get out of here. This does not want to come out of there. There we go. Get that one out. Then go ahead and grab your new clip here. And I like to go, so kind of get it up into one side first here. These are kind of a pain to do. So get it up on that one side, and then you can kind of pry it up. Just kind of squeeze it up in there. It kind of locks into place here. I'll show you. So if you take it, you can see these two tabs on each side kind of lock it into place there. And then go ahead and make sure your pads are still in place. Get your caliper, slide that over your pads. And then you're gonna have tension from this clip here. So you're gonna kind of have to press down on your caliper, get your bolt started. Kind of like that. Let's get those snug. And again, that's going to turn on me. I'll just hold it with my pair of vice grips here. Get that snug. And then grab your torque wrench, and we'll torque those to 17 foot-pounds. And again, that's going to turn on me. Just like that. And then give it another spray down. Go ahead and throw your wheel and tire back on. And go ahead and jack it up and get your jack stand out of there. And then of course go ahead and torque those to 80 foot-pounds as well. All right guys, so with the passenger side all done, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the driver's side. I'm not gonna record that because it's gonna be exactly the same, and then I'll come back. All right guys, so I went ahead and got the driver's side all done as well. So now there's one more thing we need to do. Go ahead and pop your hood. Okay guys, so with your hood pop, go ahead and come over to your driver's side firewall here, locate your brake master cylinder, and we need to just check our fluid here. So since all 4 calipers have the pistons pressed in, now is when you want to check this fluid level. And you want to bring it up to the max line there. You can see you got your max and then your minimum. So you just want to add some DOT3 brake fluid to bring it up to the max line there. And as those pistons come out, your fluid starts to go down. But then when they get sucked back in, it comes back up. So just make sure they're all 4 of them are pressed into the calipers before you add any fluid, just to make sure you go to the max line there. And you can see this fluid's pretty dirty, so I may do a video here in the future I don't have time tonight, but maybe I'll do a flush and bleed all these brakes. So just go ahead and check your level there. Make sure you're good on that. All right, guys, and one last thing you want to do is your brake pedal is probably going to be spongy. So what you want to do is just go ahead and pump it a few times till it kind of gets stiff, because you can see it kind of goes to the floor there. And now it's stiff just like that. So you want to make sure you do that before you back out of your garage so you have a brake pedal. Okay, guys, so one last step we need to do is break in the new pads to the rotors. And PowerStop's pretty adamant about doing this, because if not, you can end up with rotor warping. So what they want you to do is perform 30 decelerations from 30 miles an hour to 5 miles an hour, and then leaving 30 seconds in between brake applications for cooling. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out nearby here, try to locate an open area where I can get up to 30 miles an hour, and then slam on the brakes until I get to 5 miles per hour, and then I'll let off the brakes and then just kind of coast for 30 seconds, and then I'll repeat this process. They're saying for 30 times. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, guys, so that's going to be it for the video. Again, I'm going to take this out, breaking them new pads to them rotors. So hopefully this video helps you out. Pretty simple job to do on these Hondas. Just need that special tool for the rear brakes there, the calipers, which I'll put a link in the description for. And if you haven't already, why don't you subscribe to the channel, check out all my other videos. I got a bunch on this car alone, so check those out. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.